Tonight on CTV, the upcoming election and how students all over campus are beginning to register.
Then, learn about the rich history of Old Town as we explore some of its oldest businesses and buildings.
And finally, learn more about the CSU Dream Team, a group granting sports dreams for kids with life-altering conditions.
All this and more tonight on CTV.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Michael Rosales.
And I'm Adam Carlson.
The Pearl Fire, just 50 miles northwest of Fort Collins, now sits at 128 acres and 5% containment. As of Wednesday evening, more than 300 personnel are on the ground, but wind kept any aircraft from flying on Wednesday. Evacuation areas include Larimer County Road 170 as well as Crystal Lakes north of Black Mountain to the Colorado and Wyoming state line.
An elementary school teacher in northern Colorado has been arrested after being accused of strangling a 6-year-old student. According to Greeley police, the incident occurred last month at Maplewood Elementary School. Investigators began looking into the case on August 30th after school administrators and District 6 security reported the alleged assault. The teacher, 40-year-old Joshua David Wainscott, was placed on administrative leave following the allegations and was arrested on September 12th. He faces charges of second-degree assault and child abuse.
The U.S. Department of Transportation's Safe Street and Roads for All program has given Fort Collins $1.7 million to improve safety on public roadways. The project is funded by the bipartisan infrastructure law that went into place in 2021. The money will be going towards 3 separate projects: the Lake Street Demonstration Project, the Harmony Road Study, and the Fort Collins Code and Standards Audit. But stick around, Rams, because after the break, Max Dietz will fill us in on this week's weather.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy. Ugh, my bad. Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. I'm Max Dietz, here to give you this week's weather rundown. So let's jump right into it. As you can see, Fort Collins today is a nice 76 degrees with a sunset at 7:01 p.m., humidity at 19%, and wind at 17 miles per hour. It was a really lovely day, but what's the point in telling you when I can show you right here? We could see that leaves are starting to change colors as autumn is arriving, and students are loving it. It was a very nice day on campus, even had Battle of the Bands, which we'll be talking about later. But overall, just a really warm, nice day. But those warm, nice days are coming to an end as autumn and soon winter is approaching. And as you can see here, I got this little buddy preparing for winter with his little acorn. But now onto our overnight lows. We have Sterling there at 51 degrees, and Lamone and Burlington in the 40s to 50s. And down our I-25 corridor, we have around 40 to 50s as well, and Denver in the high 40s. And as we look on to the western slopes, we have Vail at 44 and Craig as low as 36 degrees. We also have Grand Junction in 55 and around 40s and 30s for Telluride and Alamosa. And as for tomorrow's forecast, we can see that we have a high of 86 degrees and a low of 53 degrees with sunset at 7:01 and humidity at 30% and wind at 7 miles per hour. And as we go further down to next week, we can see that the sunny days are soon to be over as we get into more clouds and rain on Sunday, as well as a little bit more rain on Monday, with highs around the 70s and 60s. And then Tuesday and Wednesdays, we get back to that hot weather with lows in the 40s and highs in the 60s and 70s. And that brings me to the end of our weather forecast tonight. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Max. Now, at CSU, one student organization is making a big impact by turning dreams into reality for children with life-altering conditions. The CSU Collegiate Dream Team works to grant sports-related wishes, offering young kids a chance to live out their dreams on the field. I had the chance to speak with co-captain Ryan Woodwall about the team's mission and both its impact on both the kids and student volunteers.
My name's Ryan, and I'm a part of Dream on 3. We work with kids with life-altering conditions, and we grant them sports dreams here at CSU. Like last year, we had a kid named Breck, and he was living with autism, and we took him to the basketball game, and he met the basketball team and hung out with volleyball and football and took a tour of Canvas and Moby, and it was super fun. Our newest team member is Breck's older brother, and he goes here, and he was so impacted by what Dream on 3 was doing for his brother and his family that he decided to join Dream on 3, which I thought was super cool. There's not a lot of people in the club just because it just started last year here, and it's a nationwide thing, but it's not a known thing, and so I would love for it to be known throughout CSU and for more people to join.
If you are wanting to join CSU Collegiate Dream Team or wanting to find more information about how they're making a difference, head over to csu.dreamteam on Instagram to find out ways to get involved.
In just 2 months, the election will effectively be over. Students all over campus are registering to vote.
As the election is quickly approaching, efforts to get students registered to vote are bigger than ever. Serena Flanagan is a first-year student at CSU, and when she saw the chance, she found it important to update her voter registration.
I'm really interested in things that affect everyday people and, laws and voting, and the election is something that really affects everyday people.
Young voters tend to be underrepresented in elections. Local organizations are setting up tables to get students to vote.
Students, if they're eligible, have a right to vote, and it comes down to having your voice be heard from the local level all the way up to the federal level.
So many people are so amazingly opinionated, and they've got things that they care about and things that they want to see happen, but I don't think they really realize how much of an impact they can make.
For Flanagan, the choice to register and vote is obvious.
I think it's easy to feel defeated, and it's easy to feel like you can't make a difference, but voting doesn't take too long, and it's important to be informed in everything that happens around you and have your voice heard.
Tuesday was National Voter Registration Day. Multiple organizations and individuals were on campus assisting students in their registration. Now, let's throw it over to our reporter, Chase Silvey, to fill us in on what happened in this year's Battle of the Bands. Chase?
Thanks, Adam. Today I went to Battle of the Bands, hosted by KCSU and RAM Events. Battle of the Bands has become an annual event here at CSU. The musical competition took place earlier this evening at the Sutherland Gardens outside of the Laurie Student Center. The event featured 4 local bands, State Line, Heliotrope, Terragog, and Black Blunt. The bands went head-to-head in a musical battle, competing for a cash prize and a spot in the FOCO MX Music Festival. First, let's see what kind of music a few of the bands are playing.
Play good music. We play it's mostly a combination of indie and alt rock, and then sometimes it's sad but it sounds happy, and sometimes it's happy but it sounds sad.
It's a mix of a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's rock.
Yeah.
Indie rock.
Yeah.
Rock.
I think we're gonna play well. I think that would be up to the people. I think we got a shot for sure.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
There's no doubt.
We feel good. We're bringing the energy. We're ready.
I've always loved local music. I was in a band back home, and I got super into the scene, so I figured I might as well. I don't know any of them. I looked on Spotify and I couldn't find them. That's usually what I go for. So, I don't know, Terragog's a pretty cool band name.
Now let's take a look at what the audience had to say. After the 4 bands competed, Black Blunt took home the prize. That's all from me, Rams. Stick around because after the break, our sports reporter, Zoe Weir, will give you this week's sports rundown.
Bye-bye.
Get home safe.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
How's it going, Rams? And welcome back to CTV Sports. For everyone's sake, we're going to step away from CSU football after the sad loss at the Rocky Mountain Showdown. Tonight, we're going to dive into other universities and talk about the biggest rivalries in a few of the biggest conferences. And of course, we start with the SEC. The rivalry between Alabama and Auburn has got to be the biggest. It's known as the Iron Bowl, and it's one of the most intense rivalries in college football. This heated competition dates back to 1893 and has become a cornerstone of SEC football. Fans from both sides are passionate, and the game always draws huge attention. Alabama, with its tradition of dominance in national championships, faces off against Auburn, which has its own legacy and greatness of upsets. The rivalry is not just about football. It's about pride, tradition, and the state of Alabama itself. Memorable moments include the kick six in 2013, where Auburn scored a last-minute touchdown on a return field goal. Next, we go to the Big Ten. The biggest rivalry is between Ohio State and Michigan, known as the Big Game. It is one of the most iconic and historic rivalries in college football. Dating back to 1897, this feud has become a definition of college football traditions. Both teams have legendary histories, with Ohio State recently enjoying a dominant run and Michigan coming off a national championship. The matchup always draws massive attendance and viewership, turning this Saturday after Thanksgiving into a national holiday for fans. Moving on to the Big 12, the rivalry between Kansas State and Kansas, known as the Sunflower Showdown. It's a fierce and historic rivalry. It dates back to 1902 and is marked by intense competition and pride between two of Kansas's premier programs. Both teams have seen their ups and downs, but the matchup always carries significant importance for fans and players alike. Kansas State has had a revival in recent decades, while Kansas has struggled up until the most recent years. The game is not just about winning, it's about state pride and bragging rights in a great showdown. The best moments include close games and upset victories that only add to the rivalry's legacy. And lastly, we move on to the ACC, the rivalry between Florida State and Miami, known as the Smoky Eye. It is one of the most electrifying rivalries, dating back to 1951. This showdown has become very popular with intense competition and high stakes. Both programs have a rich history of success. This rivalry has produced memorable games, including the classic matchup that often determines ACC championships and playoff bids. The atmosphere during these games is crazy, with fans showing unmatched passion and loyalty. Signature moments include the famous Florida State 31, Miami 0 game in 1992 and the dramatic finishes that have left fans on the edge of their seats. This rivalry is about state pride and recruiting dominance in the Sunshine State. Each meeting is a highly anticipated event that captures the attendance of the entire college football world. And well, Rams, although the CSU rivalry game didn't go as planned, we still have great ones to watch the rest of the season as we head into week 4 of college football. The best games await, and that is all the sports talk we have tonight. But stick around, because after the break, our investigative reporters are going to fill us in on all the oldest businesses still around in Fort Collins. See you, Rams.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
The city of Fort Collins has been around since 1866, and although much smaller than it is now, people have called Fort Collins home for hundreds of years.
With dozens of landmarks scattered around town, it is not difficult to see and learn about the rich history that Fort Collins has to offer.
Yes, but how much do the people of Fort Collins actually know about the town?
Good evening, CTV. I'm here in Old Town Fort Collins asking residents questions about the history of their own town. So let's go. Stop. For the first question, what is the oldest business in Fort Collins?
Looking around at businesses, let's go. I don't know.
Gotta be an old town, though, right? It is an old town. It's on College. It's City Drug.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
really?
It was opened in 1873 by a Wyoming pharmacist and a Fort Collins businessman. And it's not in its original building, but it's still the longest standing business.
Okay.
My trivia question for you is, what is the oldest brewery that opened here in Fort Collins?
Is it Coppersmiths?
It is Coppersmiths.
Is it?
Coppersmiths opened in 1989 and opened actually only 2 weeks before Odell Brewing Company opened. So my next question is, what is the oldest restaurant here in Fort Collins?
I couldn't tell you. Coopersmiths?
No, that is actually the oldest brewery here in Fort Collins, but the oldest restaurant is going to be the Silver Grill Cafe. It was opened up in the 1930s and has expanded and grown ever since. But nice guess. So my question for you is, what is the name of the abandoned town that is under Horsetooth Reservoir?
I do not know, but I know it exists. Like, I looked this up 2 weeks ago, so I really should know it, but.
Would you like a hint?
Yeah, give me a hint.
All right, it's related to beer.
Yeah, I still don't know.
All right, it's called Stout, Colorado.
Yep, that's right.
It was an old drinking town for quarry workers nearby. It has long since been abandoned to make room for what we now know as Horsetooth Reservoir. So Old Town Fort Collins inspired what theme park?
Disneyland.
That is correct. It was Disney World. Walt Disney drew inspiration from Fort Collins in his hometown in order to make Main Street USA of Disney World and many of his other theme parks.
Correct.
That is all the trivia questions that I have, but there is so much more to Fort Collins history, and if you are interested in learning more, consider doing your own research. Now, let's head back into the studio.
So Bailey and I are actually both from out of state, so I actually learned a lot from this segment.
Yeah, it was really fun researching all the little trivia facts about Fort Collins and getting to know more about the town I live in now.
Yeah, totally. The Walt Disney fact especially, I was like, I had no idea.
Yeah, that's so
that's
fun.
so interesting.
Especially I'm from Southern California, like right around Disneyland, so I'm like, that was actually really fun to know.
Disney in both places you
Disney in
live.
both places.
That's awesome.
And would you like to know another trivia fact I found?
Yes, tell me.
Fort Collins actually used to be nicknamed the lamb feeding capital of the world.
The lamb feeding capital?
Apparently we had so many lambs and so many crops that we fed a lot of lambs.
I had no idea.
Well,
learning new things.
Speaking of food, I got the chance to talk with the owner of the oldest restaurant here and learn a little bit more about their history.
Since 1933, the Silver Grill Cafe has been serving up food to the people of Fort Collins. However, with a deep-rooted history, there is so much more to the Silver Grill than just breakfast and lunch food. Owner Alan Jansen reveals some of Silver Grill's history.
We occupy 5 buildings now. The original building was 218 Walnut Street. Started in 1933 by Flossie Widger. Flossie owned it for a number of years and then sold it to his son Pete when Pete came back from World War II. Pete owned it all the way up until 1979. He sold it to John and Offal. I bought it from John about 3 years ago. The history of the restaurant is very long and deep-rooted, but I can tell you that you can't help but be immersed into it once you walk through the doors and become part of the old brick and the old floors and just the immense amount of history.
The Silver Grill Cafe is not only known for its history, but also for its freshly made cinnamon rolls.
Cinnamon rolls are a great tradition started by John probably close to 30 years ago now, and it's a traditional cinnamon roll that your mom used to make or grandma used to make, and we do it in a little bit different spin here in our giant sizes at Silver Grill. Now we've even evolved that to seasonal flavors, and again, it's just a good traditional home feeling inside of the restaurant.
With their deep connection with Fort Collins and the sweet treats that they serve up, it is no wonder why the Silver Grill Cafe has found so much success.
Throughout the years Silver Grill Cafe has been open, the community has made strong connections with the restaurant. These connections are just one of the reasons that the Silver Grill Cafe has been open for all these years. Well, I'm Bailey Borkowski.
And I'm Bella Walser, but that is all the news we have for you tonight, Rams. Check out our YouTube channel for more content all week. Stay safe and have a great weekend.